I'm digging this up to sell it to China for cheap, then I'll buy it back as steel at triple the price. Bloody genius, right?
Righto, $10 a kilo for China and 100 for Aussies, because why the hell not?
You beauty. More cheap oil for China. Shame it still costs $3 for us locals, eh? I'd love to educate our Aussie youth, but the Chinese students are just paying more. Sorry, folks, we got to send the Aussies somewhere else. Another 100,000 migrants land this week. Righto, that's another section done. Toll set, and, well, the new owners seem happy.
.5G is about imagining the future, from connecting people to people and people to the internet, but also including machines to machines, and that's going to fundamentally change the way our world works.
The future of Australia's 5G wireless technology is taking shape now with real-world testing in a Telstra site, aiming to launch commercially after 2020. The 5G tests are running in partnership globally with Ericsson.
We are driving and shaping the industry standards that will become 5G.
Australia's environment is somewhat unique. The size of the country, the population density. We're even trying to understand how radio signals propagate through trees like gum trees. This will be the first technology that comes to Australia that actually has our input and is ready for Australian conditions.
Beamforming's an important 5G technology that sends the radio waves straight down to your mobile device instead of broadcasting over a wider area. What that means is you'll get improved reception and higher performance even as you move around.
So what are some of the ways this will transform your everyday life?
We're seeing the rise of virtual and augmented reality systems where you can wear goggles and connect the online world to the real world. And that requires a lot of bandwidth, and that's part of what 5G brings.
Broadcasters will be able to use mobile 5G to transmit live footage of breaking events and sport from location. Driverless cars and trains could become an everyday reality. You'll greet a drone with your latest online shopping purchase. Organisations with mission-critical communications will be able to get reliable high-speed coverage uninterrupted by other network users. 5G will transform industries such as mining and agriculture. The farmers of the future will be able to upload information from millions of sensors on crops and livestock. 5G will connect the real world to the online to help medical practitioners with important information overlay.
Australia is right at the very front of 5G, and it's going to transform the way we interact with the online world.
You must consider the whole part played by electricity in nature. Human beings cannot go on developing in the same way in an atmosphere permeated on all sides by electric currents and radiations. It has an influence on the whole development of man. This life of men in the midst of electricity, notably radiant electricity, will presently affect them in such a way that they will no longer be able to understand the news which they receive so rapidly. The effect is to damp down their intelligence. Such effects are already seen today. Even today, you can notice how people understand the things that come to them with far greater difficulty than they did a few decades ago. Rudolf Steiner, 1924. Rudolf Steiner noted that in 1924, since then our atmosphere has become far more permeated with electric waves of widely diverse types. There's no doubt now that electric waves, electromagnetic forces, cause direct biological effects. There's thousands of peer-reviewed papers on this subject. There's no doubt about it. But what are these effects? How are they affecting us? What can we do about it? We're now at a stage where we're putting in what's called 5G, which is a special type of broadcast for high-density information transfers. And it turns out that this is the same frequency bands that are used in crowd dispersal weaponry.
5G, first and foremost, is densification. So it's significantly more transmitters in close proximity to a human, and it is also a sophisticated, illegal, unlawful transmitter. What I mean by that is it is a high gain dielectric lens antenna, and what that allows 5G transmitters to do is to 3D map its environment in your home. The 868 megahertz frequency is specific for battlefield interrogation systems, so sub-gigahertz. It allows the signal to travel through concrete brickwork with ease, and it can actually data gather. It is a target acquiring system. Phased array is basically radar off the battlefield. It is extremely good at identifying targets and being able to lock onto targets. And not only that, it can specifically target you as an individual. So any judge sitting on an interesting case, let's say, any lawyer, any barrister, anybody doing any work that is potentially controversial, your life could be at threat. So the antenna design that you currently have on top of these LED streetlights, masquerading as a control management system, is basically battlefield interrogation equipment. The first phased array unit was actually called Mammoth, used by the Germans during the Second World War to identify Allied aircraft. Obviously things have moved on significantly since then.
Well, I joined the Royal Navy in 1960, and I specialised in microwave warfare. Radar, obviously, which uses microwave, but they don't just teach you radar, they teach you all about microwaves and other uses. So I understood about microwave warfare and how it can damage people, how it can harm people. Microwaves then were used as weapons, as they are today. It is a perfect stealth weapon, and when governments don't like a group of people, for instance the ladies who protest at Greenham Common in England about the American missile base they camped, they were microwaved. We microwaved Catholics in Northern Ireland to make them sick. It goes on all over the world, and it's a weapon that you don't know you're being targeted because the dose is very, very low, which is actually more dangerous than a high dose. It's very, very low, and it may take a year or two, but you can cause neurological damage and cancers with low-level microwaves, and you can make all your opponents sick. It's a perfect weapon for a government.
Could just buy off Canberra. So you take someone like Anthony Albanese. What does it cost to buy off some sort of low-grade spiv like Anthony Albanese? I don't know. I haven't tried. But my guess is you could probably buy Albanese for less than it costs to buy, say, a new Tesla. It's not expensive. This is a person with no job prospects, no obvious skills, who has the respect of nobody, including his wife. So it's like, why don't we just buy him? And by the way, I'm not attacking, your prime minister. I'm not singling him out, or your lawmakers. I've actually visited Canberra and been up to your parliament, and there's some awfully nice people. Ralph is one of them, a great guy. They're very much like the people who run my country, the legislators who run my country. They're people who, in a better economy would be selling used cars. But they can't, and so they're your lawmakers, and they get pensions, but it's all very, if I can just be honest with you, it's all very low grade. These are not impressive people, they're not making a ton of money, they're not creating anything, they're bureaucrats. And so what does it cost to buy them off? Oh, not very much. A lot less than it costs to invade. Now, I'm not saying your lawmakers have been bought off. I'm stating unequivocally they've been bought off. There's no question about it. And it's obvious in what's happening in your country. And the first reason you know that your government has been bought off by China is that your country is being invaded in a way that is designed to make you not notice. And you're being invaded through immigration, refugees and illegal immigrants. 200,000 a month. 200,000 a month. No country can sustain that level of immigration without falling apart, period. Especially not a country of 26 million. Now, if you think about it, and by the way, Australia being a very decent country, very much like Canada, very much like the United States, you're not encouraged to say anything about this or you're a bad person because you're offering a better life to people and like, how dare you not do that? What's never noted is that you are stealing the future of your children when you do that in a bunch of different ways. For one, the most obvious, your kids can't afford houses anymore. In Australia, just like the United States, you have a continental-sized landmass.
And saw lands where women and children are powerless, where abusing women is routine, where child marriages thrive, where showing bare skin invites beatings, and now those toxic beliefs are spreading in Australia, in our own neighbourhoods. Adam Abdul Hamad, aged 19, was recently taken into custody for a vile gang rape that lasted for 6 hours in the back of a car whilst driving around Western Sydney. 3 other teens were involved, aged 14, 16 and 18. Unfortunately, their names cannot be released due to their age. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. This isn't isolated. There are Pakistan and Middle Eastern rape and grooming gangs all over the UK. Rotherham, Rockdale, Telford, just to name a few. Hundreds of girls have been violated. And the UK government and authorities, they stay silent with fears of being labelled a racist. And now Europe is getting overrun with this same issue. Mass immigration from lawless lands with values that don't even go close to aligning with ours. It's constant, it's everywhere, and Australia now is heading down the same path. This Western Sydney case horrifies me on every level. A girl ambushed, filmed and brutalised. When we import from places where women are subhuman, our government takes a reckless gamble. And of course, they know what they're bringing in, but they do it anyway. This is the frog in boiling water scenario. If you drop a frog in hot water, it leaps out, sensing danger. But then take that same frog and put it in cool water while slowly heating it up, it'll stay there until it dies. And mass unchecked migration is the same situation. A slow, steady loss of Australian life and values. This current force has no tanks or no bullets. It's waged by policies, courtrooms and open borders. The Sydney assault, 6 hours of filmed torture, shows it. We can't ignore this, and we can't turn away from the truth. This unfortunately will continue to happen if we keep having mass unchecked immigration from lawless regions and societies. Weak men create hard times, and Anthony Albanese is a weak man.